You can go into the more logical arguments, but those logical arguments, the system of logic itself is still based on certain presuppositions.
Hermes, do you mind if I interject?
Oh, is this dark? No, I actually do mind. I know you pretty much dominate every conversation.
Yeah. No, I kind of want him to interject.
Okay, but go ahead.
Is that okay? Is that okay? Is that okay with you, Hermes?
Hey, it's not my server. It's not my thing. So go ahead.
No. You were talking with him. I'm not trying to step on your toes. I said, do you mind if I respond to him?
Sure. Like I don't mind anyone else.
Okay. So Vallejo, could you repeat your statement about faith followed by empiricism?
Well, intrinsically, any sort of system, it's not just simply based on the Christian faith or the empiricist system itself. It's any sort of system, any sort of idea, any sort of intrinsic value that you have in the world is based on some sort of presupposition. It's not based really on any sort of logical principle. It's based simply on somebody's feeling or intuition that this system or this value, this idea is correct.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that our most foundational mental states are simply arbitrary.
Not arbitrary, they're based on our own intuition and feelings towards something.
Um,
That's arbitrary.
yeah.
Or you could say it's arbitrary in a logical sense, but I wouldn't say it's arbitrary in a emotive or irrational sense.
Okay. So I'm a fundamentalist Christian. What are you?
What am I? My
Yeah.
religious beliefs? Well, I'm not a Christian, put it that way.
I didn't ask you what you're not.
Well, I'd rather not go into my personal religious beliefs.
Well, sir, then the problem is that when you assert facts, your facts will be unintelligible, because in order for facts to be intelligible, they have to be contextual and within a frame of reference of a model of reality. Therefore, therefore, I'm not done yet. Therefore, if you have a contextual-less fact, then you're asserting there's a giant marshmallow on the surface of the moon. Why? Because I don't know.
Well, no, I'm talking about a very basic philosophical principle. There's no need to incorporate any other ideas that I might have into this basic
There most
philosophical
certainly is.
conversation.
Okay, well, then you're talking about rudimentary about logic. Is that correct?
Well, no, I wasn't really talking about logic. It might play into what I was talking about, but I wasn't talking about logic itself.
Well,
But my I don't really think hold on, I don't really think that the subject we're talking about at hand requires me to incorporate my own religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or whatever sort of beliefs
you're unaware
into this subject.
Sure, it does, because you see, then you have uninterpreted facts, which would then be meaningless. An uninterpreted fact is a fact that has no context at all. So it's over. You be gibberish. You cannot present. Listen to me. You cannot verbalize an uninterpreted fact. Okay, otherwise it's a meaningless fact. Okay, and an interpreted fact is going to have context, and that context is going to include what the nature of reality. So, for example, if somebody believes in the external physical world and they invoke a loaf of bread, whereas somebody who does not believe in the external physical world, they both have a different frame of reference. They both have a different worldview, and so the so-called facts of a loaf of bread are going. They're going to be in antithesis to each other. Okay. And they're going to be different interpretive facts, even though superficially they're the same verbalization. So I'm just simply asking you, I'm simply going to ask you simply, it's a very simple question. I would like to know what your frame of reference is about reality. Is it theistic or atheistic? Simple question.
Well, it's neither personally. It's not atheistic or theistic.
Okay, well that
can I respond to this?
Sure, you can.
I don't really think just simply talking about the subject they were talking about, the subjective nature of reality. I don't think that necessarily requires going into some sort of concept of my religious beliefs on God or atheism, unless of course, unless, of course, you do believe in some sort of logocentrist idea of reality, and that you
You're
are a
repeating
Christian
yourself.
or well, I'm not repeating myself now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you were.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
you were.
no. I'm
You
going to a
yeah.
logos. I just said I never said
Yeah,
this before.
sir.
You're
Listen,
going into a
listen to me. Listen to
logocentric
me.
idea of reality that is based on some sort of
I don't know
Christian
what that gibberish means. I don't
or
know what a logocentric thing. Listen,
well,
I
if
don't
you
know
don't
what
know
that.
what, if you don't know what, if you're a Christian and you don't
Okay.
know what logocentrism
Okay.
means,
Now, well, logos means different things to different people. Now, okay, a fact. Okay.
خلاص.
Okay, an intelligent. And okay, in order for a fact to be intelligible, can it be contextless?
Of course, nothing is contextless. Everything exists within some form of context.
Good. So in order to present an intelligible fact, if you have no ultimate context, it's meaningless. It's an unintelligible fact. So I'm
I
asking
agree
you,
with
are you speaking, listen very carefully. When I ask questions, it's not meant to be hostile or just belligerent. I'm dead serious about my questions. Okay?
you. Oh well,
So
please get to the point. I believe.
So when
Let's get
when
to the point,
you
baby.
when you verbalize facts, are these facts intelligible?
Well, I think they're very intelligible. The fact that you can
Good.
respond to
Does
them,
that
I
require
think, makes them
context?
intelligible. I agree with you. Everything exists within
Good.
some form of
So what
context.
is
I
the
never
ultimate
disagree with that.
context? What's the ultimate context that provides for your facts, sir?
Well, perception itself.
No. That would be just a proximate explanation. I'm asking the ultimate context.
No, context exists within perception, does it not? Within
Yeah,
somebody's
that
ability to
that's a
perceive
that
something.
that's a non-answer. Okay, is perception? Are you talking sense perception? Is is that absolute and unconditionally non-dependent?
Well, perception exists within reality, does it not?
Okay, that's not an answer to my question.
Whoa! Why is perception having to be
That's
absolute?
not
This
that's
has to be
not the
some
answer to my
overarching,
question.
absolute
Okay, what you're
mind that
doing,
perceives
listen.
everything.
If you
Can you
think I
not just
don't
simply
know,
have a perceptual ability?
if you
Can
think I
perception
don't,
exist itself?
tell me when you're done.
Oh, I'd like to finish, but every time I try and finish, you interrupt me.
That's because you're not answering my question.
Oh, if you let me finish, I might be able to answer it. But
But you
I
haven't
don't really
answered
think
my
you're going
question
to.
at all. I
I
asked a
don't really
simple
think you're going to
question.
be able to understand my
This is a
question.
tactic. This is a tactic that people pull. You're not answering my question.
All right, sorry. We'll go on. Please repeat it.
Okay. Um, I asked you, you appealed to sense perception as the ultimate framework. I'm asking you, what is the ultimate context for your facts for their intelligibility? You invoke sense perception. So I said to you, is sense perception absolute and unconditionally non-dependent, or is it derivative?
Well, I wouldn't say it's absolute, simply based on its own intrinsic merits of the ability to perceive, because the ability to perceive relies on some sort of subjective experience. And as soon as you come into this
Yeah,
framework of
I
subjective
don't
oh,
need to
there
be
we go.
lectured.
Interrupting me again. As
Yeah,
soon as you
all I
come
need was
into
a
this
simple
ability,
answer.
these sorts of questions aren't that simple. As soon as you come into a
Yeah, well,
subjective
keep
framework,
monologuing. I'll wait till you're done.
it is not absolute. You
Okay,
can
good. That's
interrupt me
all I
as much
need
as
to
you
know.
want. You can
That's
interrupt
all I
me as
need to
much as
know.
you
You just
want.
answered. You just needed. Okay. I don't need long rhetorical flourishes. I just simply said,
Well, look,
it
30-second
provides.
answers aren't
Okay,
long rhetorical answers. They're not monologuing.
you tell me when you're done with your argumentativeness.
Yeah, well, I
I'm
will let
waiting.
you know if you can just wait 30 seconds. I know that might be a little bit difficult for you to
All
do,
I
but if you
asked
can
you
just
is
wait
sense
30
perception
seconds and
absolute.
let
That's
me
all I asked.
respond, I'll be able to
Here
tell
we
you
go.
when I'm done with my answer.
Wah.
Oh, I'll be able to do that. If you want me to answer
Yeah.
to
Wah
you,
wah. Run the
and you want
clock
me to let
out.
you know, I'll let you
Run the
know.
clock out.
Give
Run
me
the
30
clock out.
seconds. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Run the clock out.
So, do you have any response to that? What I actually said?
Yeah, I simply asked you a very simple question, and all we got was this long monologue. I simply asked you, is sense perception absolute and unconditionally non-dependent? You could have answered and said, no, it is not absolute and non-dependent. Okay? Yet you went into all this long rhetorical flourish, almost all of which did not answer the question. But you did answer the question in a little snippet. You said no, sense perception is not absolute and unconditionally non-dependent. And that's the answer that I was looking for from the question. Now,
I find it very curious that I find it very curious that you interrupted me and said that I was monologuing, but at this point you are now monologuing. I find that very curious.
I'm talking. Now, since I asked you, what is the ultimate context which provides for the intelligibility of any facts that you speak? And you said sense perception. Then I asked you, is sense perception absolute and unconditionally non-dependent? You said no. So then sense perception would not be the ultimate context. Can you tell me, what does sense perception ultimately depend upon?
Well, I tried to explain this to you earlier, that if something is based on sense perception, it's based on some sort of perceivable ability to interpret the world, it instantly becomes subjective and it is no longer absolute. Simply based on its own intrinsic nature, it is subjective. It interprets the world in a certain way, so it is subjective. It isn't absolute. This is what I tried to explain for you.
You haven't answered my question. I think you have extremely poor listening skills. Now, what is it that ultimately provides? What is the ultimate prerequisite for sense perception? Is it laws of nature?
No, I would say a form of consciousness experience. That's what I would say is the ultimate.
Okay, is consciousness unconditionally
No,
absolute?
of course, interrupt me again.
Is consciousness absolute and unconditionally non-dependent?
I would say consciousness is the most fundamental principle that exists in reality. There is no possible way that you could understand anything without. Well, it is an answer.
Yeah,
if you understood what I was saying, it is an answer.
Listen to me. I'm going to tell you right to your face. You have horrendous listening and critical thinking skills. Virtually without exception, every simple question I've asked you, you're monologuing and not really answering the question. Is consciousness unconditionally non-dependent?
Of course it's non-dependent. But this is the thing I find with crushing atheism. Crushing atheism, you like to monologue yourself, but then you critique others on monologuing. Yeah, exactly. You like to monologue yourself. You like to talk and exacerbate yourself, but you never let anybody else do the same thing to you. Why do you do that?
I'm ignoring everything you're saying.
Exactly. So where does the logic come out of that? You ignore everything that I monologue about, but then you monologue yourself.
I'll wait till you're done.
But you don't. You never wait till I'm done. You never wait till anybody's done.
Okay.
Hey, Valeo, can I ask you something?
Okay.
Sure.
Listen,
go on. Sure.
Okay.
Hey, sorry. Crushing atheism. Somebody else asked a question.
Okay. Bye, Cap.
Okay. Valeo, have you looked into like different views on epistemology in regards to perception, things like direct realism or verificationism?
What do you mean by direct views?
Direct realism. Well, I guess there are different views in epistemology in regards to how it is that we come to truth, right? So there are views. I guess one of the common views is called verificationism. The other ones are Bond's theory of truth. Have you heard about any of these?
Yeah, but I don't think they really hold up when you analyze any sort of understanding a knowledge-based system. I think all knowledge-based systems do intrinsically go back to some form of consciousness, and if you can name drop these words and movements and ideologies, but until you give me an actual philosophical argument against it, I'm not going to disbelieve what I'm claiming.
Well, I guess I want to know what view you hold, if it's not one of the ones that I mentioned.
Well, I think I said it a few times already, but that the consciousness is the intrinsic principle of reality, and that anything that exists, any sort of value principle, any sort of scientific method, anything in that sort of vein, it comes back to some sort of conscious principle. It comes back to some sort of perceivable principle, a value principle.
Well, let me ask you this: if you think that consciousness is the fundamental basis of reality, would that mean you're an idealist or solipsist of some kind?
Far beyond an idealist.
But wait, so if you're not an idealist, then it sounds like you do think that besides consciousness there are other things that are like that exist,
No,
right?
I said far beyond idealism. I didn't say that there's
Oh wait,
material
I'm sorry,
factors in
I
the
didn't
world.
interpret that correctly. What do you mean by far beyond idealism?
Well, this would go more into the panpsychist strain of things. I wouldn't even call it idealist thinking. I would say this is beyond idealist thinking, that everything has some form of consciousness. I mean, virtually every idealist, they never really claimed, except there's a few exceptions like Berkeley or somebody. They never really claimed that the mind is the only thing that exists, or the perception or the conscious quality is the only thing that exists. They always accepted that oh well, our minds are the ultimate arbiters and factors in reality, that they
Alright,
mold the material
hold on.
world, but they are
So
not
are you
the
saying,
absolute.
Valeo, do you think that like inanimate objects are conscious?
Inanimate objects, not the object itself, but as the fundamental quantum at the quantum level of that object, I think it's conscious.
So
Has
you're
Okay,
like
so
no,
okay,
panpsych.
and
so
what?
hold
Well,
on a second.
hold
So
on.
Valeo, no,
Wait.
no, the
Let me just
conversation was
finish. Let me just
hijacked. No,
finish.
the conversation was
Come
hijacked
on,
from
come
my
on.
question.
Yeah, all
No,
right,
I'm
it
not
was,
gonna
but
come
let me just
on.
respond to
No,
him.
no,
Come on,
no,
let me
I'm
just
not
respond
going
to
to.
him.
No, no, two people hijacked the conversation, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
do
but
that. Now I asked you a question.
look,
I
crushing
asked you.
atheism.
Well,
I
I
will
asked
respond.
you. No, I'm not gonna give in. No, I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen that way. Now I asked you a question, and you dodged. Now here's what my question. I asked you if there was an ultimate context for the intelligibility of facts. You invoke sense perception. Then from there, you invoke consciousness. Now, both of you, those you have admitted that they are not unconditionally non-dependent and absolute. What I want to know is, what is it that ultimately that exists in terms of the nature of being that's going to provide for the intelligibility of facts? You have conceded that it is not consciousness and sense perception, which is the ultimate basis for intelligibility of facts.
No, no,
I
I
would
haven't
like to
considered
know,
that.
I would like to know from you, what is it that is the ultimate nature of reality, the ultimate context, which will provide the framework for intelligibility for facts? What is it?
Well, I think I just said it very clearly earlier. If you were listening at all, I said that a form of consciousness, or more primitively, a form of experience, a form of perceiving something in some sort of primitive way. As much as it might not be a form of actualized consciousness, it is a form of
You're
pure
not answering my
consciousness.
question.
Well, I am answering it. If you listen
No,
for
you're
just,
not. Is that ultimate?
if you listen for just 30 seconds, I could
No,
answer.
I am listening. I have been quiet. You're not answering my question.
Well, I'm trying to answer your question, but
Are you
obviously you're not
describing
listening.
what is ultimate?
I wouldn't call it ultimate, simply
Okay, I'm
because
asking you, what is it that
uh,
is ultimate that provides for the intelligibility of facts? That's the question.
well, I would have a problem with the terminology of ultimate. I would call it universal. That this exists
I can use
universally.
other terminology that's acceptable to you. What is it that is ultimate, absolute, and unconditionally non-dependent that provides for the all dependent facts? What
Well,
is that?
I would say that nothing exists ultimately,
No,
simply
no,
because of what I just said
nothing
earlier, that
exists. Nothing
everything is based on
exists.
some sort of perceptual quality. It
So
exists within
nothing
time.
exists. You said nothing
No,
exists.
that's not what I said. I mean, does a dream exist? Does
So
something
what?
in a
Okay,
mental
so what you're
capacity
saying?
exist ultimately?
Okay, yeah, there are neurological states that produce phenomenon in the brain.
But
Those exist that
do
result in.
those exist
Okay,
ultimately?
okay, no, you're not. No,
Does that
the
consciousness, is that
dream,
being, that state, does that exist ultimately?
the dream is not extended into physical reality. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a simple question. Okay, is there an ultimate nature of reality that provides the basis for any or all dependent facts?
Well, exactly as I said earlier, does the dream, does the conscious
No,
mind,
sir.
does
We've
that
already gone
exist
down this road
ultimately?
again.
How
You're
could that
going down
possibly exist
that
ultimately?
answer. That answer is not an answer to my question. It's a diversionary tactic.
Oh, well, I said earlier, no, it doesn't exist
Okay,
ultimately
good.
because it
Excellent.
exists
So
within
there
a
is
conscious
so
experience.
okay,
I don't know how you
so there
can't
is
understand it.
I'm not talking about consciousness right now. It doesn't matter what dependent fact. So what you're saying is there are dependent facts that ultimately don't depend upon anything?
No, what I'm saying, I don't know why
Listen,
you
I'll
can't
repeat the
understand
question
this.
if you don't answer
Oh,
it.
look. If you don't want me to answer the question, you can interrupt me as much as you want. But if you want me to
I'm
answer it, give
waiting.
me at least
I'm
30 seconds or a
waiting.
minute. Well, when I do answer it, don't interrupt me.
I'm
All
waiting.
right? Well, don't interrupt me. Now,
I'm
the
waiting.
problem with, well, I'll answer it. Now, the problem with claiming that something is an ultimate objective thing that exists in itself is that everything in reality requires some sort of perceivable ability. And as soon as you accept that fact that everything requires some sort of perceivable ability, it instantly becomes unultimate. It instantly becomes subjective. As soon as you accept the fact that everything is based on some sort of mind reality, some sort of perceivable reality, it
You just
isn't
contradicted
ultimate
yourself.
anymore.
You just contradicted yourself.
Oh, how so?
Is what you just said, can you perceive that? Can you see that?
Yeah, of course, I'm perceiving it right now.
No. You said on the grand scale. You were explaining to me what the grand nature of things were, but can you see that?
No, of course. It's all based on presuppositions.
No.
Solipsism.
Okay,
See, this is
okay. So
this
you
is
can't
this
see
is
it. Okay, so you didn't answer my question. Okay, you just danced around it. Now
no. I
I'm gonna
answered it
ask you a
directly. It
question.
is all still based on subjective
I'll repeat the question
presupposition.
again. I'll repeat the question again because you see, I'm not fooled by your rhetorical flourishes and your tap dancing around the question. Now, do you believe that facts derive their intelligibility because they are dependent? Simple
No,
question.
of course not. Of course not.
Oh, okay,
They
good. Can you?
derive. Oh, there we go. There we go. You ask me a
Good.
question, and you interrupt straight
So
away.
all I
Of
want is a
course, they're not
simple answer.
dependent.
I don't
Well,
need. I'm not asking you for a rhetorical lecture. I just want a simple answer.
well, look, I don't really want a rhetorical
I guess you really think your
pseudo-Christian
voice
lecture
is.
from you.
I
I'd like
guess you
to
think your
react to
voice
you
is
and give
sexy
an
and you
answer
like
to
hearing the
you.
sound of your voice. Okay, so facts are not. Their facts are not dependent.
Well, they're not dependent in themselves. They're not an objective fact
Okay,
in themselves.
are there? Do any facts exist?
Facts only exist based on somebody's consciousness. The only way
Okay,
you can say that a fact. Hold on. The
is that a
only way
fact?
that you
Is
could
that a
say that.
fact?
Well, let me say this. It's not really a fact. It's simply
Okay,
somebody's
then
own
why should I accept
intuition
what
towards.
if it's not if it's an intuition? Why should I accept what you're saying?
Well, we don't have to. You don't have to accept it. This is my
What? Okay,
entire
what?
point. You
No,
can accept
no.
any
Okay,
sort of
so
proposition
what you're
you
giving me,
want.
is an intuition. Is that correct?
Of course, in the same way that you're
Okay,
doing is
good. Is
intuition.
that an intuition?
Yeah, this is all
Okay,
intuitions. Everybody that everybody.
why should I accept your non-rational intuitions?
Well, you don't have to accept it. You can
No, but
reject it if you want.
why is there a reason why I should accept your intuitions?
Oh, there's all sorts of rationalistic reasons that you can dance up
Okay.
aesthetically
Okay,
with
so
somebody's
you so
intuition, but
so
there's no
so
reason
you're in
why you should follow.
so in other words, you have no reason for your stipulations that are intuitions that you're verbalizing for me to accept. So in other words, you want me to accept baseless assertions?
Not baseless. They're based on
Well,
an
are they
intrinsic human
no,
emotive principle, in the same way
are
that
they
all your principles
intuitional?
are based
Are
on.
they intuitional?
Yeah, yeah. I've said this
Okay,
10
good,
times to
good.
you. I don't know
Okay,
how long it
now
takes you to
do your
understand.
intuitions are your intuitions baseless?
Not baseless. They are based on intuition itself. They are
Oh,
based on an
okay. So
emotive feeling and the motive
intuition is
desires.
based upon intuition.
Yeah, that is
Oh, okay.
what human consciousness and human value system is.
So your most fundamental mental state, is it intuitional and is it baseless?
Yeah, that is what human values. And let me reply. Don't just interrupt me this time.
I
That
just need a
is what
simple answer.
Well, I've given you a simple answer, and I've asked you for a simple answer,
Are
but you
your
always
most fundamental
every
mental
time
states
again.
intuition and
And
baseless?
yeah, I've said this. I don't know how many times I've said this. It is based on an intrinsic human, well, not even human, but an emotive experience, an emotive force, an emotive will, an
Yeah,
emotive
you just,
value system.
dude. You listen. You are truly pathetic. All you're simply doing is you're doing your best impersonation of Hitchin-style rhetorical flourishes. Now,
Hitchin. Hey,
is
hold on. I'm not
yeah,
an
you're
atheist,
reminiscent
and
of.
I don't support
Oh,
Hitchin in
well, you
any sense of the word. So
oh,
you're
so
totally
you
misrepresenting
believe?
what
Okay,
I
good.
what I'm.
So when I asked you what the ultimate nature of reality is, the context for all facts, you told me that there is none. But now you're a theist?
No, I'm not a theist. I never claimed that I was a
Well,
theist.
that's the only options you have is atheism and theist. There is no third option.
Well, what about autotheism or pantheism or
No, 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 no,
panentheism?
no,
What about
no,
any of
no,
those?
sir.
They don't play into
Sir,
that world.
either listen to me carefully. Either you hold that the ultimacy of reality possesses personhood or you do not. I will ask you a very simple question, okay? I don't need a soliloquy, I don't need a monologue. Is what you consider to be the ultimate nature of reality, does it possess personhood?
No, it doesn't require any sort
Okay,
of
then then
personal
then
identity in the human
then
sense of the
then
word. It
then
does require
then by
some form of
definition,
experience and experience.
listen, I'm trying to explain something to you,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
not trying.
know. You've
Okay,
been
I'm
trying
trying
to
to
explain
explain
something to
because
everybody in this
right
server,
and
but you never let
yeah,
anybody else
wah
explain
wah wah.
something to
I
you.
am, but you're speaking out of
You never let
ignorance.
anybody else explain
Actually,
anything to
I
you. This is
do,
your problem.
but
This is your
no.
entire problem. As
Okay,
soon as
good. Ad
anybody
hom some
explains
more.
anything to you, you just whop whop, as you
So,
just said then.
sir,
You just interrupt them.
if you hold that the ultimacy of reality does not possess personhood. Okay, so can you tell me how do you know that?
How do I know that? Well, intrinsically, everything is based on some sort of intuitive presupposition. I've explained this
Do you
earlier.
know that?
If we want to presume certain principles, we could argue on that. But
You're
intrinsically,
just rambling,
there is
dude.
based on
You're
simple,
wasting my
simply,
time.
it
You're
is simply
listen,
based on
dude.
presumed principles.
Listen. You're giving me a community college lecture. Okay, I'm familiar with all the basics. I'm not impressed by your rhetorical flourishes. You're embarrassing yourself. Now, do you know? Okay, you do not accept that the ultimacy of reality possesses personhood. Okay,
Oh,
so
how could it possibly?
is the ultimacy of reality non-personal?
Of course, it's non-personal. How could the ultimate
How
existence
do
of
you
reality?
know
There we
that?
go. There we
How
go.
do you
Again,
know that?
interrupting me.
Do you know that?
How could reality
Do you get a
possibly?
hard on listening to yourself
Well,
talk?
I can't even get a word out with you. I don't know
No,
how
I'm
you could
asking
possibly
simple
say that
questions.
I'm over talking when you are the person who's talking
Look,
90%
listen,
of the time.
let's
Okay,
have a
can we not
conversation.
talk about who's over talking who? Darth, can you just let him talk for a bit?
When I ask you simple questions, I'm not looking for a community college lecture.
And
I just want a simple clear answer.
I try to answer that question. Try
Now,
to answer that
how do you
question, but I can
know?
never get it out.
How do you know that the ultimacy of reality does not possess personhood?
Well, you could really reflect the same question back onto you, but really,
I'm
it's a
waiting
ridiculous
for an
question.
answer.
Now let me answer. Let me just give me 30 seconds, Darth. 30 seconds, all
Yeah, here
right,
we
and
go.
I'll
Another
answer it.
community college lecture.
No.
Shut the
Oh
fuck
yes,
up.
30 seconds. It's a lecture. I can never answer it. Now look, personhood is an intrinsic part of human person. I don't know how you could possibly
How do you know
consider.
that? How do you know anything is
Well,
intrinsic?
of course, I'm presuming certain principles, and if we
You don't
presume
know
certain
that?
principles, we
You
can
don't
come
know
to a
that?
certain rational debate about things.
So you don't know that.
No, I've explained this to you before that
So
all
you're
sorts of
asserting to me
principles, all sorts
something
of
that is not
values are based
necessarily
on some
true.
sort of moral system, on
No,
some sort
we're
of
not
value
talking about
system.
ethics right
Now,
now. I want to know
if we
how you
presume
know the
certain
ultimacy of
things,
reality is not personal. How do you know that?
Well, if you presume and you agree with my rationalistic interpretation of the world, we
What
can
a
both
windbag
agree
you are.
that
You're saying nothing.
I can't even finish my
I'd
point. But
like
you
an
agree
answer to
with
my question.
yeah, I could answer that if you just let me speak for
Good.
30
I'll shut up
seconds,
for the
Darth.
next. I will shut up for the next 60 seconds. Here's the question: how do you know that the ultimacy of reality does not possess the attribute of personhood? Go.
Well, uh, assuming that there are certain principles, in the world, that there's certain rationalistic ideas of how things work and logic, whatever else, we can dissect or consider that there is a certain idea of personness, and that personness is a kind of unique trait to the human condition. There is no way that you could say that personness exists outside of the way of the human condition. That is what makes us us. That is what makes persons persons. Humans are persons. And so saying that there's any way that to exist outside of personness within the human condition is ridiculous.
Are you done?
Yeah, whole 30 seconds worth.
Okay. You essentially did not answer my question. All you just simply said is that it is ridiculous for that which is ultimate to present personhood. Okay, explain to me, um, why is it ridiculous that the ground of all being cannot possess personhood? Why is that ridiculous?
Because personhood, if I can respond, personhood is based intrinsically on the concept of the human being, or the human nature, the human
You
culture,
don't
the
even have a
human
basis for
construct
human
knowledge
beings,
or reality.
sir. You
No,
can't
I've
eat
explained this to you earlier. I've
Okay, are
explained that
human
we
beings
presume certain
is human
rationalistic
simple
principles. We
question.
can
Simple
argue about it.
question. Simple question, Gabby. Is human beings intelligible? Is human beings intelligible because it's a true class?
Oh, well, it's intelligible if you presume certain
Is
aspects of
human beings a class like trees and dogs or
no,
flowers and
I never said that. I never claimed
is human
anything along
beings a
those
name
lines.
like Fido or Fifi, or is human beings
No,
representative of a class?
I never claimed anything along those lines.
Human beings, is that a class where particulars possess the class because they have shared properties from a common source?
Well, again, rationally, you can define humans as some sort of
Do you
quality,
believe that do
some
you
sort of
believe that there are actual classes?
classes in society, classes in
No,
nature. Yeah,
sir.
I
No,
do believe in
I'm
them.
talking. Good. You believe in classes. These are particulars who are members of a class that have a shared set of properties from some common law-like or regular occurrence. Okay.
Yeah,
Do those
yeah.
do classes exist?
Classes, yeah, in that sense, they do.
In that
I
sense, good.
believe they
Okay.
do exist.
Are human beings, is that term human being that you invoke, are you saying that that is an actual class?
Well, if you want to pigeonhole it onto just a specific class, I want to do that. But if you want to
So human
pigeonhole it
beings is
into
not a
sort of
class.
rationalistic,
Is it just a
or
name like
or
Fido?
I don't know. Can I finish your point? If you want to pigeonhole it into some sort of specific class and name and put it into some sort of little category, yeah, human beings do exist as a
Okay.
specific
Is
little
human
category.
beings a
They are unique.
class? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, they are unique as a
Okay.
class.
Okay. Good.
If you want to play along with that
Are classes determined by regularities or laws of nature,
well, to some degree, from the human
or is
experience,
it
they
just
are.
simply chance?
No, no. Well, I wouldn't say it's just simply chance. I would say that the way that you kind
Look,
of
all I
box
need are
people into
simple
these
answers.
categories.
Listen, dude, I'm a fairly well educated and thoughtful person. I don't need your community college lecture. I know you get a
Yeah,
hard on
okay.
for listening to yourself talk. Okay, all I
You
need
know,
are
look,
simple answers. Now,
look. Honestly,
are
look, man.
classes
You
secured?
look.
I will just keep on. I'm going to ignore your
Yeah.
rhetoric. Are classes secured in virtue of the causal principle and laws
Well,
of nature?
hold on. Crushing atheism. What do you actually mean by classes?
Okay, I already explained that to you a few minutes ago.
Can you not explain it to me again?
Do you
I
not
forgot,
remember?
sorry.
Do you not remember? You forgot?
No,
Wow,
I
that's
forgot.
pretty
I've got a
bad.
bad memory. Can you not remember
Yeah,
that? Can you not, like,
No
reiterate it
wonder
for
you've
me?
had an inability to
Yeah, well,
answer all my
sorry.
questions.
Look, I guess I'm a bit of a simpleton, all right?
Yeah, for
Sorry,
somebody who gets a
I
hard
can't,
on for giving a
I
community
can't.
college lectures, you sure do have a good memory. But then
Yeah,
you have a
well,
failing memory. What a coincidence.
look, I'm just asking you. I'm asking you very humbly.
Good.
Could
I'll
you
repeat it
reiterate
again.
for
Since you
me
have a
and give me
failing
a
memory,
definition
it's
of it?
amazing how you can do the. It's
Yeah.
amazing how you can do these community college lectures when you have such a poor memory.
Yeah, well, look,
Now,
I'm still
I said a
waiting
class.
for it. I'm still waiting for that definition.
I said a class. Okay, is a set of properties and attributes that a particular has that is secured by a causal principle and laws of nature. Okay. Now, are human beings a class?
In that sense, they are a class, but they
Good.
don't. That
Good.
that
Are there
that.
laws of are they secured by laws of nature?
Well, the idea and the perception of human experience does accept
Are they
that
secured
that
by laws
class.
of nature?
You can never finish a point with you, can you?
Yeah, I guess you really do get a hard on listening to yourself.
within that. Well, look, man, you've been talking more than me. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
want a
don't really
simple
have to
answer.
say that
Are
I
classes
don't really.
the product of laws of nature?
No,
Are
but hold on.
classes-
Before we go into that, I
Yeah,
don't
you
really
can keep on
understand
with your
how you.
rhetorical
I don't really
flourishes.
understand how you're
I'm
saying
waiting
that
for
I
an
get a hard
answer.
on about me.
I'm gonna
when you're
shut
the one
up.
who's talking 90%
I'm
of
gonna
the
shut
time.
up. I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna wait for your answer.
Well, take your
No,
time
you're
to
not.
shut up. Take your time to shut up.
Good.
Please,
Go ahead.
take your time.
Answer the question.
Yeah.
Shut
Don't
up.
shut up. Yeah, just take a little bit of your time.
Answer the question.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, well, I've explained this to you. I don't know how many times, but yes, if you do accept these certain class systems or sections or ideas of how humans box things into their world, yeah, that is how humans understand the world.
You are you get the grand prize. You are one of the biggest bloviating bullshitters I've ever encountered on Discord.
Darth, you
Thank
tell
you.
that to everyone. Come
Okay.
on. You
Now,
tell that to
Bring it to
everyone.
you.
Are classes secured and determined by laws of nature? Simple question.
Well, if you accept the concept of human nature itself, which most philosophers in the modern age do not,
My eyes are
you're
glazing
right.
over.
You are so holy, Darth Dawkins. Jesus would
You
love you.
are an absolute windbag. I asked the question. I'm still waiting for an answer.
Well, I just answered it to you. If you accept those
No, you haven't.
propositions and those
No, sir.
presuppositions,
It doesn't matter what I think. I'm asking you. Do classes require laws of nature as a precondition?
In human nature sense, that human nature naturally leads to class systems. No, I wouldn't agree.
So laws of nature are not the precondition and determiner of classes.
No, I would say culture
Okay.
and environment plays a
No,
major
you're not.
factor
Okay,
that as well.
you must be really freaking stupid. I'm talking about classes in a metaphysical sense, not in a sociological sense. I made that clear a long time ago. I defined for you several times because you said you had a failing memory what a class was, and now you're equivocating on the use of the word class. Now, our classes, as I have defined them, is the precondition for classes, laws of nature or regularities of nature. All I need is a yes
hold
or
on.
a no.
If you're talking about a class system outside of the sociological economic version of class system, and you're talking about it in a metaphysical system, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by
I've
metaphysical
already
class
said
system?
you are one of the biggest bullshitters I've ever encountered.
No, but what do you mean by a metaphysical class
I want
system?
an answer. I've already explained it to you. You are truly a deceitful person.
No, but what
I
is
ask
a
you,
metaphysical
do you
class
know-
system?
Do
What
you
is
know-
metaphysical
Do you
class?
know I have asked this question to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and you are one of the rare individuals who cannot answer the question.
Whoa! What is a metaphysical class?
I'm not,
you
as
haven't
opposed
explained it
to
me yet.
metaphysically, I'm speaking ontologically, the nature being, rather than sociologically. Now, I'll ask you again. I define what classes are. Are laws of nature the
metaphysically.
prerequisite? Are the laws of nature a prerequisite for classes when you invoke stuff like human?
Yeah, but you're saying they're a prerequisite.
Okay,
for,
I'm done with you.
classes.
Listen to me.
How
This
exactly?
is why
How exactly does
you're
a class exist
bloviator.
metaphysically?
You are full of crap. This is why it is impossible to converse and debate with you.
But you
are a
class.
bloviator. I'm done. I've accomplished my job.
All right. You said
I've
that
exposed the
metaphysically
fraud
that
that you are.
precursor.
You are a fraud.
Yeah.
You are a fraud because
But you
all
you
do is you bloviate, and I've done my job. I've exposed the hack that you are,
Darth.
and I'm done. Okay. No, I'm done. I'm just going to be fully assertive to show that this guy here is a massive bloviator. I have asked him very simple questions that I ask people all the time.
He has a very strange understanding of what being done is.
He had a near incapacity to be able to answer the question without bloviating and bullshitting. And my job is done. I accomplished what I set out to show.
Shut up.
Thank you.
Good job. Mission secure.
Okay, guys. So I wanted to ask you: does anyone have any experience with like taking philosophy of religion classes at college?